Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning. My name is Lucy Hubbard, and I am in the 8th grade. Welcome to our Veterans Day Assembly. Today we gather as a school to honor the men and women who have served in the United States Armed Forces. Veterans Day is a time to pause, reflect, and most of all, to say thank you. Before we continue, let us take a moment of silence to honor those who gave their lives in service to our country. Thank you.
My name is Ella McDowell, and I am in the 8th grade. One of the best ways we can reflect on the importance of Veterans Day is with our words. In our history and English classes, my classmates and I were assigned to write an essay answering the question, what does freedom mean? Lucy Hubbard's essay titled The Struggle of Freedom was selected for today's assembly. I now invite Lucy back to the lectern.
Imagine, slowly, the little things you love are taken away. Then more of the bigger privileges some of us do not even realize how great they can be are taken too. Think of how you would feel. Imagine living in a society like this. I know I, personally, would be left feeling devastated, dehumanized, having this feeling of restraint, and many other emotions expressing the loss of the fundamental right of freedom. Freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. The First Amendment of the United States Bill of Rights guarantees freedoms of religion, speech, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government. We do not realize how blessed and lucky we are to have these freedoms, and we don't rejoice enough that we do. The history of our country is filled and cluttered with different stories of taking away freedom from others or having it taken from us. Once we see the things we are able to do with freedom, it is 100% worth fighting for. Look at where we are today. We can say what we want, live where we want, live how we want, be who we want, and believe in what we want. Because the veterans who fought and died allow me to simply be Lucy Hubbard, who lives in Montgomery, Alabama. Today we come here to honor the ones who served or are serving our country. Whether they were drafted or volunteered, they are true veterans. One such individual enlisted into the Army at 19 years old during World War II. He was a private first class in the U.S. Army, scouting German positions in southern France, when mortar fire exploded near him. Shrapnel from the mortar pierced his cheekbone and lodged in the other side of his face. It was so bloody, he was almost left for dead by his own medic. Thankfully, he was not. He was brought home. He received the Purple Heart and Bronze Star for his bravery under fire. This man, who gave himself willingly to the cause of freedom and fought against the darkest evil on earth, went on to marry a lady, Henrietta Hill. They had 2 sons, one of them being my dad. My grandfather, Charles Hubbard, lived to the age of 96, with scars on both sides of his face and no sense of smell. Even though this was tragic, he never let on how difficult this was. Veterans are humble and quiet about the services they do for our country. They willingly face the terrors and hauntings of battle for us. All the more reason we should be thankful. If it were not for these veterans, we would not have the freedom we have today. Because of their service, we don't have to imagine and watch helplessly as our deeply cherished rights are taken from our hands.
Good morning. My name is Aryan Devanani, and I'm in the 7th grade. Performing the song, Carry the Light, I now invite the middle school chorus and Miss Kimbrough to the stage.
Good morning. My name is Rustin Wood, and I'm in the 8th grade. I Am a Veteran is a poem written by Andrea Christensen Brett. Each line of the poem represents a person the writer personally met or was told about by others. The words in the poem are symbolic of the experiences of all veterans who have their own unique story to tell. I now invite 11th grader Morgan Springer to the lectern.
I Am a Veteran by Andrea Christensen Brett. You may not know me the first time we meet. I'm just another you see on the street. But I am the reason you walk and breathe free. I am the reason for your liberty. I am a veteran. I work in the local factory all day. I own the restaurant just down the way. I sell you insurance. I start your IV. I've got the best looking grandkids you'll ever see. I'm your grocer, your banker, your child's school teacher. I'm your plumber, your barber, your family's preacher. But there's a part of me you don't know very well. Just listen a moment. I've got a story to tell. I am a veteran. I joined the service while still in my teens. I traded my prom dress for camouflage greens. I'm the first in my family to do something like this. I followed my father like he followed his. Defying my fears and hiding my doubt, I married my sweetheart before I shipped out. I missed Christmas, then Easter, the birth of my son, but I knew I was doing what had to be done. I served on the battlefront, I served on the base, I bound up the wounded, and I begged for God's grace. I gave orders to fire, I followed commands. I marched into conflict in far distant lands. In the jungle, the desert, on mountains and shores, in bunkers and tents on dank earthen floors. My family and friends were home praying for me. For the land of the free and the home of the brave, I faced my demons in foxholes and caves. Then one dreaded day, without drummer or fife, I lost an arm. My buddy lost his life. I came home and moved on, but forever was changed. The perils of war in my memory remained. I don't really say much. I don't feel like I can. But I left home a child and came home a man. There are thousands like me, thousands more who are gone, but their legacy lives as time marches on. White crosses in rows and names carved in queue remind us of what these brave souls had to do. I'm part of a fellowship, a strong, mighty band of each man and each woman who has served this great land. And when old glory waves, I stand proud, I stand tall. I helped keep her flying over you, over all. I am a veteran.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Sorry. Good morning. My name is Jenny Rains, and I am the Director of Auxiliary Programs and Civic Engagement. It is an honor to welcome our special guests today, veterans and active duty service members within the MA community, to today's assembly. We thank you so much. And at this time, we wish to recognize each of you today. We are honored that you have chosen to spend this morning with us, and we wish to celebrate your service to our country. When your name is called, please stand with your family to be recognized. Audience, I ask that you please hold your applause until the end of these introductions. Chief Master Sergeant Charlie Adams Sr., retired Air Force, joined by grandson Charlie Adams in the 11th grade. Chief Petty Officer Don L. Allman, retired Navy. He is joined by grandchildren Robert in the 11th grade, Matthew in the 7th grade, and Francis in the 5th grade. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Arnett, retired Air Force. He is joined by his children Andrew in the 11th grade and Isabella in the 8th grade. Lieutenant Colonel Emily Arthur, active duty Air Force. She is joined by her son Riker in the 5th grade. Colonel Craig Drescher, retired Air Force. He is joined by son Jack in the 5th grade, who is also grandson to Colonel Michael McCormick, retired Air Force. Mrs. Maggie Dwyer, Air Force veteran, and Chief Master Sergeant Christopher Dwyer, retired Air Force. They are joined by Livia in the 10th grade and Luke in the 5th grade. Mr. Jeffrey Harris Flannery, Sr., Navy veteran. He is joined by grandchildren John Harris in the 11th grade and Lizzie Lynn in the 9th grade. Captain Hugh Frazier, Jr., retired Air Force, and Mr. Jacob Howell, Marine veteran. They are grandson and uncle, respectively, to David in the 10th grade, William in the 6th grade, and Stuart in the 4th grade. Corporal William Green, active duty Marine. He is joined by daughter Spencer in the 8th grade. Lieutenant Colonel Aubrey Hagewood, active duty Air Force, and Major David Hagewood, active duty Army. They are joined by daughter Aria in the 3rd grade. Dallas is in the 2nd grade, and she is joined by her father, Mr. Derek Jones, Army veteran, and uncle, Mr. Darius Jones, Army veteran. Mr. Jim Merrican, Army veteran. He is joined by Imogen, his daughter, in the 7th grade. Mr. Mike Mitchell, he is an Army veteran, joined by grandson Ford in the 6th grade. Mr. Charles Phoenix, retired Army. He is joined by son Andrew in the 12th grade. Major Stephen Ryder, active duty Air Force. He is joined by children Henry in the 1st grade and Ivy in the 2nd grade. Nathaniel is in the 12th grade and is here with his father, Dr. Ronald Shaw, retired Navy. Martha, who is in the 7th grade, is here with her father, Lieutenant Colonel Bart Smith, active duty Air Force, and her grandfather, Colonel Wilburn A. Smith, Jr., retired Air Force. Mr. Andrew Lee Smith, Jr., Army veteran. He is joined by granddaughter Sophia in the 9th grade. Captain David Bond Wills, Army veteran, joined by grandchildren Abby in the 5th grade and Betsy in the 8th grade. Mr. Roger Yonker, Jr., Army veteran. He is joined by grandchildren Francis in the 12th grade, Davis Ann in the 8th grade, and Virginia in the 12th grade. In addition to our guests here today, students and faculty and special guests, please stand if you have a family member or relative who is currently serving or has served in the U.S. military and is not here with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking all of our men and women in uniform for their service to our country.
Wow, what a morning here at MA. Thank you so much for being here today. Students, faculty, staff, administration, parents, grandparents, guests, and most importantly, our special veteran guests who have served our country in our armed forces. We are so honored that you are here with us today for this special ceremony. This year, I've been thinking a lot about relationships. In a world in which there's a lot of focus on technology and focus on artificial intelligence, I've been keenly focused on the human relationships, real human relationships that allow our students to fulfill our mission as a school. Strong relationships are at the core of every successful organization. And our armed forces rely on the strong relationships that are developed in serving together. But today, we pause from our normal routines to recognize those who made sacrifices, who set aside many times their personal relationships in order to serve a larger good. I am particularly thankful this morning for my personal relationship, and our school's relationship with one of our distinguished graduates who will serve as this year's Veterans Day speaker, Bart Smith, Lieutenant Colonel Bart Smith. Born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama, Bart Smith graduated from the Montgomery Academy in the class of 2003. He went on to Auburn University, where he completed a Bachelor of Science cum laude, and in 2008, and a Master of Science in 2009. He completed his Juris Doctor, magna cum laude, at the University of Alabama School of Law in 2016, where he also served as senior editor on the Alabama Law Review. He is currently of counsel with Webster Henry PC. During his undergraduate years, Bart enlisted in the Alabama Air National Guard's 187th Fighter Wing in 2005, where he worked as an aircraft mechanic before commissioning in 2011 as a fighter pilot. Bart flew over 1,000 hours in the F-16 Fighting Falcon before transitioning to the F-35 Lightning II in 2019. In the fall of 2022, he graduated from the F-35 Weapons Instructor course at Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, Nevada. He has flown over 100 combat missions in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and supported operations Enduring Freedom, Inherent Resolve, and Noble Eagle. He currently serves as the Wing's Weapons and Plans Officer for the 187th Fighter Wing here in Montgomery, Alabama. We're so pleased that Bart and his family recently moved back to Montgomery, and he resides here on his family farm with his wife, Rachel Smith, their 3 children, Martha, James, and Anna Brooks. Martha and James attend MA, and Anna Brooks is a student at First United Methodist First School. Bart, we are so thrilled that you are here today to share these words with our students and our guests. Welcome.
Well, good morning. I'd like to start by thanking Jenny and John for inviting me out here to share some remarks about my time in the Air Force and for giving me the absolute best possible forum for which to embarrass my 7th grade daughter, Martha. So when I asked Martha if I could sprinkle some Gen Z slang into my discussion this morning, she covered her head with a blanket, and so I took that as a no, and so I'll hold off on that for now, Martha. We tried to do this last year, so apologies to John again for a surprise bout of appendicitis on the morning of, but we only have one appendix, so we're good now to be here. And it is an honor today to join y'all to speak at a school where I attended for 13 years. And it feels like I just graduated yesterday rather than having already had my 20-year high school reunion. The annual MA Veterans Day celebration has become a wonderful event, and I'm really happy to be here. But as an Alabama Air National Guard pilot, it's around this time of year that me and other veterans, especially in uniform to and from going to work, get told, "Thank you for your service." Now, to veterans, despite the regularity with which this occurs, sometimes it's kind of awkward to figure out what to say in response to that. So it's somewhat off-putting and kind of weird to say "you're welcome," and it would be even cringier to say something like "thanks for your thanks." So But we really appreciate the thoughtful words from the well-wisher. And if I have time to sit down and talk with someone, I think most veterans would say that they find their service in the military humbling, fulfilling, and that they had a chance to work with amazing people. And I'm going to take a few moments to share about those experiences. Now, sadly, less people each year get to share in this experience. According to the Pew Research Center, there's 18 million veterans living in the United States, about 6% of American adults. So 30 years ago, 70% of the U.S. Senate and 48% of the U.S. House were veterans, compared to about 15% today. And of our presidents, 31 out of 45 presidents have served in the military, but only one in the last five presidents over the last 30 years has served. It's becoming more often the case that the most likely indicator of potential military service is whether or not your family served. And I suppose that's true in my case. I'm joined here by my dad, retired colonel and flight surgeon Wilburn. My mom is joining us via live stream. She was a lieutenant nurse. Her father, my grandfather, served in the Army as a lieutenant colonel. And the poem that Morgan read about veterans could have described my dad's dad, who served from 38 to 66 in the U.S. Air Force, starting in the Army Air Corps and serving in World War II. Service in the military can really be a humbling experience, but in a good way. And as one of the examples where I have been humbled with military service is I had the chance to meet Captain Roscoe Brown and Lieutenant Colonel Leo Gray, who were members and pilots of the 100th Fighter Squadron and the 332nd Fighter Group. You may not know those numbers, but you probably know them by their more popular name, the Red Tails, or the Tuskegee Airmen. These African-American pilots were the first to fly fighters in combat. They were training right up the road in Tuskegee at Moton Field before Alabama was even desegregated. And every day they woke up knowing they had to prove their worth, which they did in spades, with multiple aerial victories. Captain Roscoe Brown had 2 aerial victories, had the first jet gun skill of the 15th Air Force, and retired with a Distinguished Flying Cross from the Air Force. And Lieutenant Colonel Gray served for 41 years. It is humbling to fly jets over at the 187th Fighter Wing that have red tails on them, and it's humbling to wear the same patch on my right arm that is the one that they wore 80 years ago into combat in World War II. Another humbling experience, on May 19th in 2020, I was flying behind one of my friends and instructor pilots at night over the Gulf of America when he ejected from an F-35 during a landing mishap. The published accident report attributed it to pilot error and distraction, and the knowledge that I could make the same mistake and must constantly study and train to prevent it is both humbling and encourages me, like MA does, to pursue excellence in my operations in the F-35. And I've been involved in planning efforts where I've sent some of my best friends and former students in flight training into combat in enemy territory. I've never felt more anxious in my entire life than knowing that their lives depended on both the quality of training that I provided them as students, as well as the quality of plan that I came up with for the mission. One was, to date, the most humbling week of my entire life, but also the most fulfilling. And I probably think that most of the veterans in this room are brimming with stories of fulfilling training and experiences they had, and unique experiences that they had during their time of service in the Department of Defense, now Department of War. The Air Force, like Mr. Williams said, has given me over 1,000 hours to train in the F-16 Fighting Falcon, over 700 hours to train in the F-35. It sent me to train at weapons school. A cumulative value of that training is almost $50 million. And they have spent that money and invested that in me. It's given me a single-engine private license, an instrument rating, commercial rating, multi-rating, and qualified me to be a certified flight instructor. I've flown on the northern coast of Alaska. I've flown around 24,000-foot Mount Noshak in Afghanistan. I've crossed both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans in a private jet, albeit not in a first-class seat. This spring, I taught the instructor cadre at the U.S. Navy's Top Gun School, and I spent the last week teaching young Marine pilots at Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort about F-35 tactics. In fact, I made the mistake of getting a haircut while I was at Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort, and their definition of a high fade is different from the Air Force's definition of a high fade. That's what I have. And I've even had what I think is probably a singularly unique experience this summer while on a 4,000-mile flight from Guam to Hawaii I was informed by the tanker pilots, as just an aside, that there had been an 8.8 magnitude earthquake in the ocean, a volcanic eruption simultaneously in Russia, and that our intended base of landing in Honolulu was under a tsunami warning. But we got through that too. And I know the veterans and friends and family around you have similar and much more interesting stories than mine. But if I'm honest, my plan leaving MA was not to be a full-time Alabama National Guardsman. As many graduates do, my dreams were of being a white-collar professional. And I started and pursued that dream. Just like Mr. McWilliams said, I ended up going to University of Alabama, where I got my JD, and I practiced law privately. And I truly like practicing law as an attorney. But I love getting to fly aircraft and working in the United States military. It's hard to compare sitting at a desk in my office, where I can literally hear the jets take off every morning, to answering discovery requests, with the chance to take the keys to a $150 million aircraft and go spend 3,000 gallons of fuel training however I think will make myself and my squadron excel at our mission. Mark Twain said that if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think a lot of people in the military and veterans in this auditorium have probably had the same experience. But most importantly, the military has given me the opportunity to work with amazing people who generally love what they do. Any organization, any club, any job that I've had since being at MA pale in comparison to working with the men and the women in the Department of Defense. In addition to the ones in my wing being expert pilots, the things they do outside of work are just staggering. Sista, one of our young captains, founded a nonprofit where she donates all the money generated to scholarships for women in aviation. Split Wit, one of my best friends and a former consultant at McKinsey, started a private Catholic school in Niceville, Florida this year, where he has 75 students matriculating this fall, K through 4, just because he thought it would improve the community. And Sheriff Peace, one of our senior pilots, co-founded the Red Tail Flight Academy, which is designed to carry forward the dream of the Tuskegee Airmen, sponsoring flight time for minority pilots. And to date, they have earned more than 75 pilot certificates and over 8,000 free hours of flight training. I've worked with these professionals in my home unit, as well as Navy SEALs, ODA, British SAS, and pilots from every continent except Antarctica. And they're all doing the same thing that you're doing right now as students. They're trying to pursue excellence. I continue to work with MA graduates. I saw Corey Williams, class of 2001, who I just ran into in Qatar in the Middle East. I work on a daily basis with Shernavius Bennett, class of 2009, where he works as the Assistant Inspector General over the 187th Fighter Wing. And I've flown missions with George Garzon and with Justin Reynolds. And George Garzon was an F-15 pilot who's now in Birmingham as an airline pilot. And Justin Reynolds is attending National War College in Washington, D.C., which is the same school that was attended by President Eisenhower, John McCain, and General George Patton. These professionals solve unique problems and employ unique solutions and have done so for hundreds of years. From the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, creating ARPANET in 1969, which became the internet, to the British military's invention of cargo pants in 1938, a lot of innovation flows down from the DoD, but it's the people with whom I love working. And it's the veterans that are willing to lay down their lives and support and defend the Constitution of the United States for their fellow brothers and sisters. So I'd like to wrap up with one last thought by saying, I am grateful for your invaluable support to my family and to the families of the other veterans at this school. Moving's not always easy. Temporary duties assignments and deployments aren't always easy. I've missed first birthdays, words, steps, anniversaries, and holidays, and others have sacrificed far more than I ever have. But your support of my family and the family of others, especially when we're gone, is what enables us to pursue excellence in our work with the Department of Defense. You might look around when you start school this spring semester or maybe next fall and see a new face. And it might be a student whose parent just moved to Maxwell to start at Air University or has taken a job over at Maxwell. And I'll tell you, that child probably didn't choose to move in the middle of the school year. And they probably are pretty nervous about going to a school where people have known each other from kindergarten all the way up through their senior year, or even earlier in preschool together. But to those of you that take the time to get to know them and welcome them to the MA community, I thank you. So enjoy the holidays coming Monday and Tuesday. I appreciate your kind words as we pass throughout the day. But don't be surprised if a veteran stops and turns to you and says, I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve. The honor has truly been all ours. No cap, Martha. Thank you.
My name is Cam Thomas Parker, and I'm in the 8th grade. Performing the song For Spacious Skies, I now invite the upper school chorus and Dr. Womack to the stage.
Wow. That was incredibly moving. Thank you so much, Upper School Chorus. Thank you to our middle school chorus, to Dr. Womack, to Ms. Kimbrough, to all of our student speakers, to our guests here today. Students, the freedoms that we enjoy each and every day, from being able to go to school, to being able to vote, to being able to express your ideas freely, without fear, without persecution. These are all rights and privileges protected by the sacrifices of our men and women in uniform. We celebrate their courage, their service, and their love of country. Veterans remind us that true courage comes from serving others. Each of us can honor their example by living with gratitude, helping others, respecting each other's rights, and committing ourselves to honor, scholarship, service, and the pursuit of excellence. On behalf of the Montgomery Academy, thank you to our veterans and to our service members here with us today and those who could not be here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. This concludes the assembly.